Hey guys, thanks for joining me. This is MMA Boss Breakdown. If you've not done so already, please subscribe to my channel and like this video. All right, so we're gonna break down the main card for UFC 229, Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov for the lightweight title. So the first fight on the main card is Michelle Waterson versus Felice Herrig. This is a tough fight to call. I've kind of gone back and forth on this a little bit. Michelle Waterson, I believe, is the underdog coming into this. The line's pretty close, and it should be. Both these girls, have a lot to bring to the table in this fight. But I think that the main difference is going to be Michelle's wrestling. We've seen that her wrestling has gotten significantly better. In that Courtney Casey fight, her last fight, she out-wrestled her. That's what, ultimately I think got her the win, was the wrestling. We saw some different takedowns. She used to go for those head and arm throws, things like that would kind of get her in trouble. That particular throw got her in trouble in the Nurmagomedov fight. She's really worked her single or double, her entries, and I think that's going to be what wins her the fight. Felice is definitely in this. Her boxing is her highlight. She's got much better boxing than Michelle. Michelle is more of like a pot shotter. Ones and twos. Michelle, is great at range, using her kicks. She's got great inside, outside leg kicks, kicks to the body, kicks to the head. That karate style really works for her at long range for the most part. It can get her in trouble sometimes when she decides to go into her side stance and her defense kind of gets a little wonky. She's a little bit susceptible to kicks. We saw Rose drop her while she was in that side stance, so she's got to watch out for that. I think that if Felice can keep this fight, keep a little bit of a pressure on Michelle and keep this fight at boxing range and avoid the clinch as much as possible, that she has a chance to win. She's got a decent jab. She's a willing jabber. She doesn't have a lot of pop in that jab, but it sets up her cross, which is really nice. She's got a decent left hook that she likes to throw. She's got some pop in her hands with that cross. I definitely, if she can keep the pressure and then get in boxing range, and then Michelle tries to disengage and exits, the pocket, that's when Michelle's defense is at her poorest. But what I think that she's going to do, and, that Jackson Wink camp is really good at game planning, and Michelle's pretty good at following a game plan. I think that she's going to try to snipe from long range using her kicks. And then immediately as Felice is moving into boxing range and setting up her combos and throwing hands, we're going to see Michelle try to clinch up, where she's going to be more active than Felice. We saw that Felice is not actually that great in the clinch. She got, worked over there by Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Michelle's no Karolina, but she's active enough to, I think, outwork Felice in the clinch, and then she can work her wrestling. If she can get it to the fence, it's going to help her even more. But I just think that there's more space for Michelle to work her game outside and then all the way inside. It's just really in that boxing range that Felice is going to thrive, and I think she's going to have a hard time keeping the fight there. If it gets to the mat, which I think ultimately Waterson is probably going to want the fight there, that's where she's got her best chance to finish. Felice is no slouch on the ground. She's good. She's active off her back. She's got some decent sweeps. I mean, it'll be competitive there as well. I think it'll be competitive everywhere, which is why the line's close. But I'm going to take Michelle to kind of edge this one out. Maybe another close fight like that Courtney Casey fight, maybe another split, or maybe she takes it on all the cards, but it's still close every round. But I'm going to go with Michelle. So let's move on to the next one. We have Derrick Lewis versus Aleksandar Volkov for a heavyweight fight. The smart pick here is Volkov, but I'm not going to pick him. I'm going to go with another underdog pick here with Derrick Lewis. The reason why Volkov is the smart pick is he's much more active. He's going to be throwing the jab out there. He's very active with his kicks. He's good for a tall heavyweight. He puts on a lot of volume. He works at a good clip. He doesn't get tired. His cardio is good. But as a tall, big heavyweight, I believe he's like 6'7". He's not that mobile. So he kind of has that Thai style where he like stands right in front of you, but he throws high volume. So he's going to be right there in front of Derrick Lewis to be hit. And ultimately, I think Derrick Lewis is going to catch him with one of them bombs. He's going to have the opportunities to throw the punches that he wants. Lewis has a powerful kicking game of his own. He doesn't really set up his kicks, but they are powerful. He's going to get out kicked here. It may not be the best idea, for him to throw a lot of kicks. But he's going to wait. He's going to sit back and wait for the right shots. Volkov's going to probably bust him up, work him until the fight is over. And Volkov is like super tough. And I think he's only been finished with strikes one time, and it was like TKO in Bellator by Vitaly Minakov. But if anyone can put him down and finish him, it's Derrick Lewis for sure. I mean, he has the ability to finish anyone, and Volkov, I think, is just going to give him too many opportunities. Plus, Volkov, with his style, his defense is really, really poor. I mean, he's right there, staying in front of you, ready to be hit. And I don't think that he is a powerful enough puncher to really like one shot put out Derrick. Maybe, volume over 3 rounds might be enough to do it, but I doubt it. So I'm going to pick Derrick Lewis by knockout. It could be at any time, first, second, third, doesn't really matter. He usually finishes later, so it's probably more likely as the fight goes on, he'll get it. But I'm picking Derrick Lewis. All right, next fight is Ovince St. Preux versus Dominick Reyes. This is a light heavyweight fight. Dominick Reyes is kind of like the hot prospect right now. As much as he can be at light heavyweight, which is pretty weak division, except for like that top 5. There's some good things to be excited about with him. He's a good athlete. He comes from a football background. He's got a really powerful kicking game. He's got power on his punches. His defense is okay for a guy who hasn't been doing this very long. I mean, it's not great, but it's okay. There's definitely, I can see that, he's making some improvements. He's getting better. But I think that he is running into OSP probably a little too early here. The one thing he has going for him is that OSP is a little bit more easy to hurt now than he's ever been. But he's going to be fighting, Dominick Reyes is a big guy, tall, long, but he's fighting another guy who's also big and long. OSP also has a powerful kicking game of his own, so, he's going to be able to kind of match him there. The things that I just think that the experience OSP brings to the table is probably going to get him the win here. He's not like the most intelligent fighter as far as game planning. He kind of just goes in there and athletes his way to wins, unless he gets it on the mat. On the mat, he's very good. And I think that's probably where he's going to win this. Reyes he has shown that he has some game on the ground, but it's not going to be what OSP brings. So if OSP can get it to the mat, and I think he will, he's going to get it done. But the things that worry me the most with OSP is he likes to mirror stance his opponents to open up kicks to the body. And Dominick Reyes is a southpaw, which means that OSP is going to be mirroring and going to orthodox, and that's not his ideal stance. And usually when he goes into orthodox, he gets himself in trouble. I mean, he got finished by Manoa switching along the fence. He also got hurt by Latifi in orthodox stance. So it's not a good way to go for him for this fight, even though he likes to do it, and it opens up the body kick. Hopefully he's seen it in the tape. But like I said, he's kind of a fighter that just goes in and see how the fight's going to go, and just athletes his way through to figure out where he's going to win the fight. And that is where he can get in trouble. But I just think still, regardless, the experience and his ability to finish people on the ground. I mean, he's a true finisher. I think he'll get it done. I mean, Dominic he's a finisher too. I mean, it's gonna be a good fight. Somebody's gonna get finished in this one, but I think OSP's gonna get his hand raised. So, all right, let's move on to the next. Tony Ferguson versus Anthony Pettis, and this one kind of racked my brain a little bit. I didn't think it was going to, but in studying for this fight and rewatching the Pettis versus Michael Chiesa fight, I realized that Pettis does actually look a bit like the Pettis of old. Like he looked good. Like when I watched that fight live, I was like, okay, yeah, Pettis won. He finished. He looked all right, but in the rewatch, I mean, he actually looked really, really good. I'm not convinced that he's the old Pettis, and I'm not sure that even if he is, like, that sort of style fighter is, can get him to title contention again. But he's going to have his moments in the early going of this fight. Tony Ferguson is not a good starter. He seems to drop a lot of first rounds. He gets hurt. His defense isn't the greatest, and he comes out like most of the time like full bore, comes right at you, pressures. And if he does that, if he really attacks Pettis, Pettis usually folds to pressure fighters, which Tony Ferguson definitely is, but and he needs to pressure Pettis. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that he shouldn't pressure, but he shouldn't be a complete wild man. If Tony Ferguson approaches this fight in the way that he did in the RDA fight, and RDA, I think, won that first round in their fight. But if he approaches it a little bit more measured and calmed down a little bit, if he respects Pettis a little bit, I think it'll be better off for him. Ferguson, he's got a lazy guard. That lead hand is always low. It's because he doesn't know, and he likes to keep make it to where his opponent doesn't know if he's going to be throwing that jab out there, or if he's going to be looking for a snatch single, or if he's going to be doing an Imanari roll, or all kinds of weird stuff, which makes him great and fun to watch and makes him a great finisher. But it also, he's got some poor defense there. He's susceptible because of that weak guard to the right hand counter. Pettis has a nice cross. If Pettis had more power in his hands, I probably would pick him to finish this. I think that he'll have the opportunities to land that right hand early. And, Ferguson's weird jankiness and that slow start in the first round, I could see Pettis setting up that head kick and, hurting him and maybe finishing him. Ferguson is really tough, but we've seen him get wobbled. We've seen him get dropped. He comes back and recovers. He's got great cardio. Ultimately, I'm going to pick Ferguson because of those things, because I think that he'll end up overcoming it. But Pettis is going to have his chance in the first round. If Ferguson comes out measured, I think he will really mess Pettis up. He's got a very assertive jab. He can really, really bust you up with that jab. He's got great timing on it. His wrestling is good. And if he can get it to the mat, I'm not so sure that he'll finish Pettis there. I mean, Pettis doesn't get finished on the mat. I mean, he lost in a weird transition to Dustin Poirier while they were on the mat, but that was kind of like a weird injury in position type thing. He didn't get tapped with a submission. So I think that Pettis is good enough and tough enough to hang on the ground and not get subbed. But I think Ferguson would probably be the one who's threatening more to win on the scorecards if it goes to the ground. And as the fight continues on, Ferguson is going to end up establishing his jab, finding his range, finding the weird stuff that's going to work. I mean, it should be a really fun fight. Both these guys get creative, do funky stuff. They're opportunists. They're, great on the ground. So, I'm going to go with Tony Ferguson, but definitely Pettis has his chance early. Definitely. All right, let's get to the main event, the one that everyone's excited about, the one that, everyone has basically the same ideas about. We got Khabib Nurmagomedov fighting for the, defending the lightweight title versus Conor McGregor, the true lightweight champion. Never lost his belt, got stripped, and Khabib picked it up fighting Ally Quinta in a weird fight. It's going to be a good fight. What most people, are saying about this is either Conor's going to knock him out early, or Khabib is going to take him down and beat him up. And, once he gets the takedown, it's over. I don't completely agree with that. I do in some regard. As I was thinking about this fight, and thinking about their strengths, and it's the, classic striker versus grappler matchup, there's no doubt. But if we're comparing how good is Conor McGregor striking versus how good is Khabib Nurmagomedov's wrestling, Khabib Nurmagomedov is undefeated, and he's fought some really good guys in the UFC, like legit dudes, and beaten them and never dropped a round. So you're talking about an undefeated guy who has beat the tough competition, and so I would say that his wrestling is better than Conor's striking. Conor has, been taken down and finished more than once. So his striking is superb. He's got ridiculous natural power, and it's going to be there for this fight. But when we're trying to balance these things, the wrestling of Khabib is just better, and it's gonna make the difference in this fight. Can Conor KO Khabib? Yes, it's possible, but I don't think that it's a huge possibility, not like people are banking on. I don't think that his power translates as well at lightweight. That's just a theory of mine. We haven't had enough sample size to really say so. He finished Eddie Alvarez, but Alvarez, is a guy that easily gets hurt and dropped. So I don't put a whole lot of stock in his power for that fight. We saw in the Diaz fight, both of them, that, yeah, he hurt Diaz, but, he landed so many clean left hands that, should have put him down and put him away and put his lights out. And I know Diaz is tough, but still, he landed flush many times and didn't put Diaz away. So, I'm not so sure that his power translates as well. And Khabib is ridiculously tough. He could take a punch. He's never really been in trouble. People like to talk about that Michael Johnson fight where Michael Johnson landed a crisp left hand. And it kind of stunned Khabib, but he didn't get wobbled, and Joe Rogan kind of, overplayed the sequence. He got hit, and he took a step back, and he respected the shot, but then he immediately just started throwing back and pressuring back forward. And then very quickly after that, he got the fight to the mat and started smashing him. So, what can you really say about it other than Khabib has a heck of a chin and took a clean Michael Johnson left hand, which Michael Johnson's put a number of guys away with. So I definitely think he could take the shots. Conor's going to get his chance to land. He's got great timing, great shot selection. I think that he'll probably be looking to not kick a whole lot, obviously, in this fight because he doesn't want to get the kicks caught. He'll probably come in with a boxing heavy approach. He's great at game planning, I think. I don't think his camp is, but I think he is himself. His corner actually has some really terrible advice sometimes. In the Diaz rematch, his corner was telling him that he was winning in the clinch exchanges, which he definitely was not. He was getting dominated in the clinch. Just absolutely ridiculous, but I'm not going to sit here and talk crap about Conor's camp. Not right now, anyway. Maybe another time. I think he'll be able to. He's going to land his shots. He's going to land that left hand. The problem is with that left hand is he throws it, and yeah, it's like a homing missile where it seems to always find its target. It's beautiful. It's spectacular, but he takes time to reset it. It's not like a piston that just ding, 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 just able to launch that thing. He throws it really long, which is why it's so great, because guys think that they're not in range for it, but he always finds the range for it. But once he lets that thing go, it takes him a little bit of time to reset that, and you can time it. And, Nurmagomedov is going to time it. Khabib's very quick, and he's got a natural sense of striking on the feet. His own striking isn't very good. It's functional, it's okay, but it's not going to matter because all he's got to do is get by with it long enough to find his entries, and he's going to find him. He's going to pressure, and it doesn't matter if he fails on his first attempt. This is what makes Khabib so good. It's not like he's a blast double leg guy like GSP in his prime. No, he's a guy that can mix up his takedowns. He's got great trips. He's got great singles. He's got great doubles. And if one doesn't work, he chains it to the next. That doesn't work, he chains it to the next. So I mean, we saw Diaz pressure McGregor and pin him against the cage, and McGregor actually, like when his back's up against the fence or in the clinch, like he does not do very well. And Khabib thrives there, so he's going to get, even if the fight doesn't go to the mat and Khabib's able to just pin him up to the cage for periods of time, he's going to get in so much clinch work and beat him up and control him, and then he will get it to the mat just by wearing him out. And Conor, he's going to gas. I mean, he found a second wind in that Diaz fight, but Diaz was busted up and tiring too, and he kind of let him back in that fight. The pressure is going to totally wear him out. And I think, Khabib's going to finish this fight probably, if he doesn't go for submissions, which I don't think he will, sadly, I would love to see him just take him down, beat him, pepper him up, and then look for a submission finish. But I could see a TKO easily in, the third, fourth, or fifth round. Probably, if I had to guess, probably going to be the third or the fourth. Conor, when you put the pace on him, he's got 2 rounds. We saw him start to kind of tire in that Chad Mendes fight. If Mendes had a full camp and didn't gas after 3 minutes, I think that, it could have been a different fight. Would he have ended up winning? I don't know. He had the size disadvantage on the feet, which didn't help him. But it was like a gas TKO. Like, he got wore out and tired from the wrestling, got up, and then Conor pressured him right before the end of the round. And he was just gasping for air as he was getting teed off. And if you remember, he got clipped with a couple punches along the cage, and then he kind of just fell over and put his hands over his head and just like gave up. Like, he didn't really get like really badly hurt by those punches. I mean, he was just exhausted. And Chad had, a lot of success with the wrestling. I mean, he even got in on some weak takedowns, Chad did, and just horsepowered him to the mat. And Khabib has even more horsepower than Chad Mendes. So even if he gets in on a bad takedown attempt, like he does sometimes, like sometimes he doesn't have the greatest timing and he'll go in and he'll go for a single and he'll just get the ankle. But we saw, like in the Iaquinta fight, he was able to hold on to that ankle, get from his knees to his feet, and then drag him into him and then just power him down onto the canvas. And I don't think he's going to have any trouble. Like, once he gets in and puts his hands on Conor, he's going down, or he's going to get pinned against the cage, peppered, and then go down. I mean, he's got so many options there. It's not going to be much of a contest. I'm not even going to give a whole lot of, weight in Conor's chances to knock him out. I mean, I can't rule it out. Anyone can knock anyone out with the right punch. Conor's got a better chance than that, but it's not going to happen. It's going to be Khabib smash, and he's going to look great doing it, and Conor is going to get just wrecked. And who knows, maybe we never see Conor back because of the freaking beating that he takes in this fight. So there it is. That's my prediction. Khabib by TKO, probably third or fourth round. And that's it for the video, guys. Hope you liked it. Thanks for watching. Again, please subscribe to my channel and like this video, and we'll see you on the next one.